So this is the mill house at Bruichladdich distillery. This is one of the last belt-driven mills left. As you can see, it's a fairly rickety old thing. We mill the barley to create grist, which is obviously what you need to extract sugar. And what we try and do is get as many variable barley types as possible. So at the moment we use 4 different varieties, Optic, which is a pretty standard one, but Chalice, Golden Promise, and the oldest barley known to man, bear barley, which is actually the origin of the word barley, which means bear-like. And we grow that here on Islay, and we use about 7 different farms, between 3 on Islay and the rest on the mainland. And we use about 1/3 of our requirement is organically grown. We're trying to increase that and persuade farmers to grow more barley for us, but it's quite slow work. So the barley is malted for us in Inverness. It arrives here and stored next door. And so when we come to mill it, we have to regulate here the machinery quite carefully to make sure that we get the right mix of husks and solids and flour.
The given wisdom of the industry is that the barley variety makes no difference to the flavour.
Yes.
You have found this not to be the case?
Yeah, I very much believe it. I mean, as you know, I come from a wine background, and in the wine world you have a concept of terroir, which some people in the wine world poo-poo and think is nonsense, and other people hold it very, very dear and very close. It basically works on the principle that if you're growing something, it's influenced by the climate in which it grows, the microclimate, the soil, the propensity to frost or disease or whatever, and that in the fruit, in this case barley grain, that difference is identifiable. So when we mill barley from different origins, our belief is that when we then mash it and ferment it and distill it, we end up with a spirit that is different one from the other. And a lot of this is something we believe quite strongly in. And of course the proof is always in the pudding. And we do at our Islay festival each year, we have great fun doing a sort of spot the barley competition. And we bring out 4 new spirits, samples taken straight from the still. So, you know, high strength, 70%, 72% alcohol. But taken from barley from these individual farms, 4 of them. And we let everybody else have a sniff. And we pose the question is, you know, can you tell the difference? Is there a difference between these 4 spirits at 0 age or not? And I'm very pleased to say that each time we've done it, you know, 2 years on the trot, 100% of the people that tried could identify a difference. Untrained members of the public, purely by smelling alone. So, you know, our unscientific proof is that you can tell the difference. And of course, those differences will diverge as time goes by. Now, add to that, we're using 7 different farms. We're using 4 different varieties, 3 different levels of peating. I mean, as you know, Bruichladdich is traditionally, it's unpeated. It's very, very, very minimal phenolic content, about 5 ppm. But we also grow, we also have malted barley up to 40 ppm, and we call that Port Charlotte, just to keep its identity separate. And then, just because we can, and for the hell of it, we do the most heavily peated barley in the world. And that's been variable in different phenolic contents. But the first one we did, and I hasten to add, this is the one with the least peat influence, was 80.5 ppm. Yes. And that's pretty, we did it because we can. And why not? You know, what we want to do is lay down as many different variables as possible. I don't see the point in sticking to one thing when we've got the power and the ability and the desire to lay down as many variables as possible, so that when Jim comes to make the bottlings up in the years to come, when he goes to the cupboard to look at what sort of ingredients he's got to play with, instead of having one variety, one ingredient to play with, and when he opens that cupboard, it's stuffed full of lots of different possible permutations that we've created at this very early stage, so that you can then use them in different proportions to create intriguing bottlings. Variety, to me, is the spice of life. And I mean, if you go to a wine, you don't drink one wine for the rest of your life. You drink different versions, different styles all the time, and that's the great pleasure. It's a mental stimulation. Sure, big companies are obligated by their very size to stick to a fairly standard procedure, but we're small, we're private, we do our own thing. We have, it's like a boy in a sweet shop. We've got lots of things to play with, lots of toys to play with, and we like playing with them. So what we do is, well, partly it's trying to optimize the use of the stock that we've got, the barrels, the maturing barrels that we bought when we acquired the distillery in December 2000. And of course, some of those are in one type of barrel, some are in a different type, some are in sherry barrels, some are in bourbon barrels, some are in wine barrels. And there's no sort of set formula for the stock. It's what was ever available at the time. So when we're coming to preparing bottlings, we have to use, if we want to make a 10-year-old, we have to look at what we've got that's 10-year-old and which barrels they're in. And Jim will then select by tasting the whiskey that matches each other to create a bottling. And each bottling, we bottle them here on the distillery. So it's the only whiskey to be matured, distilled, matured and bottled on Islay with our own spring water. So when we come to create those relatively small bottlings, it's not like some huge, they're small bottlings, we do it by taste. Not computer, we do it by taste. So it's matching different casks, just like you would with wine. If you go to Chateau Latour or Chateau Lafite, whatever, they'll have 30 or 40 different wines from that chateau that they will assemble together to create the Grand Vin. And that's sort of what we're doing here. We're selecting barrels according to taste. Some we leave to mature for longer, some we decant into something else, some there's no hope at all. It's a mixture of these different factors.